Hey everybody, I'm Greg.
And I'm Katie. Welcome to the Meeple Society. Today we are on episode 72, part 1 of the R's.
Part 1 of many of the R's too, like the P's.
I want to say it was like 6 or 7.
A lot of R's.
Maybe 8. I don't remember exactly offhand. However, before we get started, first like the video, subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. Of course, hit that bell icon if you want notification of any future content.
Or find out where we're on social media by clicking the link below and we'll show it to you all.
But also, before we get started, we realize it's been a very long time since we've done this. I feel like it's been months because the P's took so long. However, brief explanation of why we decided to do this series. We told ourselves we were going to do this at the start of every letter. We haven't exactly been faithful to that.
I'd say it's been a long letter.
It's been, well, P was long anyway, but
well, I could say it's
feel
been
like it's been
the H's maybe.
Oh, it's been
I don't know. Go back and find out.
Anyway, the reason we're doing this. Okay, so we have a collection between the two collections. We have 2 separate collections. Our collection that stays here in the game room, and then we have another collection that stays in another area of the house that we call our travel collection. This is a collection that was put together when we were working with the choir department at our local high school. Both of our boys were in show choir, and I was a fundraising chairman, and one of the fundraisers that we decided to do was a local game night for the neighborhoods and for all of the families and for the school in general. So when we started talking about it, though, everybody was like, oh yeah, Monopoly and Sorry and Scrabble and all the games we didn't own. We were prepared to bring our own games for this. And then we discovered nobody played our types of games. Everybody wanted mass market. Okay. A couple people donated. And then I started hitting Goodwill. Unfortunately, a lot.
She was addicted.
I was. I am the first to admit I was addicted to going in there at least once or twice a week. And we have like 11 or 12 Goodwills in our city. And I just make the rounds, maybe more actually. But over the couple of years that we ran that fundraiser, that collection amassed to about 1,100 games, in addition to our own 600 in our collection. Of course, that fundraiser ended. We had just started working with some choirs to do a game room at some of the local competitions. Show choir competitions are extremely long, incredibly long. They can range anywhere, if you have a bad day, 12 hours. If you have a good day, 18 to 20 hour days. And of course, you always hope they are 18 to 20 hour days because that means your kids had a great day. But it's a long day for those kids and for their parents who are helping to volunteer. So we started putting together these game rooms just to keep the kids occupied, to give them something to do besides sit in the auditorium or sit in their rooms, and they weren't allowed in their rooms. So that left the cafeteria or wandering the halls. And it was a big success. And then COVID hit. So we are in the process of whittling down that collection a lot, like by 50% minimum. Just because we're never taking 1,100 games anywhere. No. We take on average 100 games. So we're curating that collection to be working, and we've done stuff for elementary school. So I want to keep some kids games, and we want to keep some games geared toward teenagers, mass market and hobby. And then of course we want to keep some of the heavier hobby games because we eventually want to start doing that type of stuff too. Longer than I intended, but there you go. It's been a while, so it was needed. But that is what we're doing. This whole video series,
why we're doing this.
This whole video series is designed to make us weed out this collection, to make us play through everything so that we can weed out the ones that just don't hit with us or that are maybe not quite as appropriate as we may have thought. We've run into a few of those that are just not appropriate for taking into a school setting, or that I wouldn't even want to take into any setting. But yeah. That's that. Let's get started.
So we got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9?
We have 9 on this one, yeah.
We'll start small, go big.
Okay.
How about that?
Works for me.
First is Rage the card game.
Okay. All right, so this was, I thought it was interesting to a point. It is a trick-taking game that ramps up as the game, or ramps up or down. Was this the one that goes down? This one goes down.
Yeah.
So You start the game with like 10 cards in
cards.
hand or something like that. And it is a basic trick-taking game, except that you have a number of colors. Now, depending on your player count, you might take out a color or something. Or you take out numbers. I don't know. You weed the deck down for lower player counts.
Yep, something like that.
Other than that, it plays like a normal trick-taking game. You deal out the cards, you flip over one card, though, and that is trump. And then you play the tricks as you normally would. The deal with this one is that you have to claim how many tricks you're going to win after looking at your hand. And then if you get a bonus points if you are actually correct. This one, though, throws in these rage cards. And there's cards that take away points from whoever wins that trick.
Yeah.
So if I play this card in a trick and somebody else takes it, I can't take it because it's not a card. Then that player loses 5 points at the end of the game. Or there's change rage. You play this one and then you get to change the trump for the rest of the rounds. Outrage. I don't even remember what outrage did now, but they all do different things. But it took a simple trick-taking game and made it mean.
Yeah, it made it very take that.
It did. It made it very take that. But okay, so we said you start with 10 cards. The gimmick with this one is that much like Phase 10, and it's actually from the makers of Phase 10, much like Phase 10, where Phase 10 you're building up, this one you're going down.
Phase 10, you're getting more cards as you go. This one, you're losing.
Yeah, you're
cards
literally
as you
losing cards as you go until the last round. You have one card in your hand.
And a 2-player game, that's like, who's first? You're
Who's
gonna
first?
win.
You're going to win it. Yeah, there's no way around, unless you happen to have two of the same color.
And that never happened.
No. I liked it to a point. I did not like it. The lower the card count got, the worse it got. The rage cards made it, in my mind, terrible. It's just not our kind of game.
It says 2 to 8 players. I would say 4 to 8 players.
Oh, yeah. It's not a 2-player game.
Yeah, it's
There's
not
no
even
way.
a 3-player game, I don't think.
So we're going to let this one go, mostly because I have a ton of trick-taking games already. I don't think we need one that does this.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you want the changing cards, Phase 10 is a great game. We played that in the P's, and it was I liked Phase 10. Didn't really care for this one. I like all the colors. I do like the 6 different colors of the cards, and they go up to like 15 or something silly. But anyway, it's leaving the collection. All right, next.
Next is Railroad Ink, and we have 2 of the 3 or 4 colors that there
I
is.
think there's 4. Isn't there like a green and a yellow also? I could be wrong.
Yes, I believe so.
The backs of these only talk about each other, so I don't know.
Right.
All right, so Railroad Ink is a roll and write game. It plays 6 players. With 2 copies, you can play 12 players because all of these are identical, at least between these 2 copies. I don't know between the other 2. But between these 2 copies, the boards are identical, with the exception of the artwork on the back. But
I don't get
they're identical.
the 2 rule books.
Is one for the...
They're both in English.
Oh, I don't know then.
That one didn't come with 2. This one came with 2 for some reason.
Maybe it was a fluke. I don't know. Anyway, so the idea with this one is that one person is rolling dice. Now, there's 2 ways to play each of these. Actually, there's 3 ways to play each of these.
Yeah.
You have your base game where you have 4 dice. Somebody rolls the dice at the start of each round, and then each player must use all symbols on this dice somewhere on their board. And then throughout the game, so all of these have to come off of one of these red stations. You get bonus points at the end of the game. Well, you score, I should say. Scoring at the end of the game is your longest railroad, your longest highway, that connect, no, it's not even your longest. It's the one that connects the most of your exits. Your exits or entrances, the red dots. And then you get points for building in the middle. You get a point for each section in the middle you build. So you have to start on the end, so you want to build in and then back out again. You only have, 7 rounds? Maybe it's 6 rounds. 5, I don't know. I think it depends on player count as to, or no, it is 7 rounds unless you use these dice. And I'll come back to those. So you play in 7 rounds. Everybody has access to these bonus icons up here. You can only use each one of them one time. Anywhere on your board, you can only use 1 per turn, and you can only use a maximum of 3. So you have to be careful when and where you're going to use them because they're not unlimited. But it could help you tie something together at the last minute that the dice are not helping you with. So there's that. And then that's the base way to play. And these both play exactly the same. Then you have your specialty dice, and each set comes with different dice. The blue set came with, this is lakes. The light blue is lakes. The dark blue is rivers. You would roll these dice. So say I'm playing the river one. I would roll the river dice with my white ones. The white ones you have to use. The river ones you can use. Rivers can come off of anywhere. You can't bring them off of your stations. You have to bring them from someplace else. And then and some of these come with highways over and railroads over them. So, but it gives you an extra way to score. But you do not have to use them if they don't work with your plan. And then this one is the lakes. And I think in here it's
the lava and the meteor.
Okay. And these are like red and
They're
pink.
orange. Light orange and orange.
And then there is the ones for this one, the oranges. Anyway, I like the game. I do. My only complaint with this game is, is that the dry erase markers are not fine. They pretend to be, but they are not. And they get very messy.
It's dry erase. They're gonna slide off no matter what.
I don't know. I know that's the thing now. I get it.
It's saving the trees.
Give me a good pencil and paper any day with this. They're just sloppy. That's what it amounts to, is they're sloppy. But it is a good game. I do enjoy it. It is definitely a thinker to try to figure out how in 7 rounds, 6 if you use bonus dice, how are you going to...
No, I think it's 7 no matter what.
No, it's only 6 if you use the bonus dice, because you have 2 extra dice every round to fill up the area.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it said 7
I'll
no
double
matter
check
what.
that, but I'm pretty sure it was 6. But anyway, just trying to figure out how to make everything work to score points. And I think I have a good shot every single time, and every single time I screw it up somehow. But anyway, that is Railroad Inc. We are going to keep them both. I like the idea of being able to have 12 boards, honestly. It's great for large groups. So, but anyway, that is staying in the collection. All right.
Next we have Racco.
Not your favorite, I know.
Not my favorite game.
I had never played before we played
Neither
this.
did I.
And I really enjoyed it.
I did not.
But you did not, I know.
I did not win 1 round.
No.
I never got above 35.
So, all right, so with this game, this is much like, this reminded both of us actually of the 10-day series.
The 10-day series,
yeah.
yes.
And I know Racco far predates the 10-day series. So with this round, everybody's receiving 10 cards, and one by one, you're putting those cards into your rack. I think it actually says from back to front, but same difference. Now you have to get them in order, but you can't just pick them up and move them. That would be too simple. On your turn, you are drawing, you have 1 card out, you're drawing 1 card from the top of the deck.
Or you can take the card
from the top of the discard pile.
Yes.
And you're deciding which one you're going to replace. All right, so this is a 53. Maybe I'm going to go toward the back. Holy crap. Those are really mixed up. That's what happens when you shuffle them.
Welcome to my world on mine.
Yes, I had a lot of them that way. All right, so you're basically deciding where you're going to put this, or you can just straight up discard this card. You don't have to keep this card. Maybe I want my 45 to be the very back of mine, so I'm not going to take anything over 45. I'm going to get rid of that. And then it's the next player's turn. But maybe I wanted to extend it a little bit. Okay, I know the highest number is 60. That's pretty close to the top. So I'm going to put that there and get rid of the 45. Either way, it's now the next player's turn. And they would do the same thing. And they would end up putting, 59. Well, gosh, I just said 53 was my back. So I'm not taking that one. I'll draw from the top of the deck. I've got a 49. Well, that goes before 53. I'll get rid of this 24 and put it there. So now I've set my last 2 cards, hopefully. But you keep doing that until you have all 10 cards in sequential order.
But it's not that easy.
You would think it's easy. It's not easy, because as soon as you get going, the card you're looking for is gone. But in a
Well,
two-player
the
game,
order part was easy. In a 2-player game, though, you have to have 3 in
right?
order.
In a two-player game, one of the variants that we decided to do to make it a little harder, you had to have 3 literally sequential, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever, and that part was challenging. I like the game. I would be curious at a higher player count. I don't think it'll play much different other than you don't have the sequential numbers.
Yeah, that's what kept me from winning anyhow.
That kept you,
I
yeah.
either would get the sequential numbers and not get them in order, or I'd get them in order but not have that. Yeah,
Not
it
have,
was-
you're missing something. Yeah.
I would be like 5 or 6 turns away and she'd be done.
Yep. I enjoyed it.
And you only scored points to however far you got up the track that's in order, and most of the time I was down here in 15 and 20.
And if you won, then you got a bonus 25 points.
Yes.
So yeah, I kind of slaughtered him. On
Which
this
there was really no way to catch up.
one. Good game. It's a classic. We are going to keep it despite his dislike of it.
I don't have to play it again.
No, you do not. But that is Racco from Parker Brothers. Good game. This one sits in the travel collection. We're going to leave it there. It's a classic. All right.
This one I'll play anytime you want. This is Race for the Galaxy, and it's a very heavy box because 3 of the 5
Yes.
expansions are in here.
Yes, we actually have 2 copies of this, and
Yeah.
they're both sit in our collection because one.
The ARC expansions can't play with these expansions.
Right. So we have, this one has regular expansions, the other one has the ARC expansions. All right, so with Race for the Galaxy, this is essentially a card game. There have been other,
It's a tableau builder.
it's a tableau builder, yes. There have been other iterations of it. There's Roll for the Galaxy. There is also, I can never remember the name of it now.
Nope. I just seen it the other day,
Oh
too.
my gosh. There's an actual board game that is based on this.
It's right
I
over
will
there.
flash up a picture right here. For the life of me, I cannot remember the name right now, though. But it plays very similar, same concept. So with Race for the Galaxy, everybody starts off with one random world card. And the world cards could potentially lead you in the direction you want to take for your game. Maybe, maybe not. But you start off with one world card. The game plays in a series of rounds, kind of like Puerto Rico, where one person chooses a role, everybody else
Everybody has
follows.
a deck of cards that are exactly the same
Yes.
for the actions, and everybody chooses an action they want to play. So there could be 3 people that choose that they want to go get cards, basically. But
Yeah, oh, here
everybody
we go.
just does their action on that one.
Yes. So,
You only do
Right.
it one time.
right. So everybody chooses from their deck of cards, as he was saying, and then say one person decided they're going to go settle a planet. Somebody else was going to go explore and get more cards. Somebody else was going to produce on the planets that they have. Then everybody would get to first explore. So everybody gets to look at new cards. The person who chose that
the card.
role gets a bonus, though. They get extra cards to look at, and they get to keep an extra card. The person who chose to settle, everybody gets to settle, but the person who chose to do so
Gets
gets
to draw
something
another
special.
card.
They get to draw an extra card. The person who chose to produce on their planets, if I can find produce, there it is. The person who chose to produce on their planets gets to produce something extra on a planet that normally wouldn't get production. Whereas everybody else can still produce on the planets that they can. So it's kind of I don't want to say a follow the leader type of thing, but
Yeah, because
that's
if there's
kind of-
more than one person that does produce, those 2 are both going to get that
Get a
extra action
bonus.
because they both played that card to
Right.
do the action. So.
And then everybody else can do the base action, but nothing additional. So you're looking at the cards, you're getting cards, and throughout the game, you are building out your cards. The game ends when one person has 12 cards built. You build planets or you build, you settle planets, I'm sorry. You settle planets or you build, what are those called? Development. You develop. Thank you. Gosh, why couldn't I think of that?
I don't know. I
So
couldn't
you
either. So.
settle planets or you develop, and they're developing various space stations or technologies. The key with this, though, is that even though you have a hand of cards, you're never going to get all these cards out. These cards are also your money. So if I want to develop this deficient spending, yeah. If I want to develop this into my empire or into my tableau, I would lay it down, but I have to pay 2 other cards to do it. I can choose which 2 cards I want to pay, but I still got to pay 2 cards and they go into the discard pile, never to be seen again. Because this is your stack of cards. You're never going to see them again. Same with planets. Now, there is a rule with planets.
That's one stack of the cards.
Yeah, that's true. That's one stack of cards. There is a rule with some of the planets where you can get military, and then you don't have to have cards to pay for your planet.
Your
you
military
just use
have
military.
to be that tall.
But it's specific planets. It's not every planet.
So red planets.
Your
the
cards,
red letters.
Yes. Your
numbers.
Cards become... Your cards are your tableau. Your cards are your money. Cards become your production. The cards are multi-use in that aspect. And so some of them you're never going to see. So you can't very well memorize the cards in this. That's for sure.
No.
Because some of them you're never going to see. I love this game. It plays very fast.
Yeah, and there is a lot of things that you can combo off of this. If you have this card, this is going to give you bonuses to get that card. And
it's all symbology. The game is very easy to play. The symbology.
Just learning all the symbols.
Learning all of that iconography is.
And each expansion comes out with even more symbology. So
yeah, it is crazy how much iconography and stuff is in here. But that is Race for the Galaxy. Fantastic card game. We're going to hold on to this one.
Well, of course.
We have 2 copies in our collection because of the expansions. I would not mind finding an extra one for the other collection at someday. That just has base game.
Base game.
Solely base game. But anyway, Race for the Galaxy, it is sticking around. Okay.
Hey, now we have Race Through Space, a Mission to the Moon.
This is our 1 kids game in this set. We got to have at least 1 in every game, every set. Yeah,
okay, I guess it was.
This one. So the way this plays, this is a series of tiles. All sorts of, you've got your home base with all of your space stations up here. The goal is to get all 3, or as many that survive, of your rocket ships up here to one of the space stations. The first one gets the highest one, and then it just goes down from there. So the board is made up of all these tiles, and it's sitting, let me go put that over here for a second. There is a specific, because I think
the meteor
shower has to go up here at top, and there is a specific order, but I'm not going to look that up right now. But you have all your tiles spread out like so. And then some of them are upside down, I know. That's all right. Rocket ships all start, if you can even, I don't even know if that's on camera. Pull this back. Rocket ships start off the board. There is a die that you move.
No, they don't.
They start on the first one? Right. They do start like the 4th one up. I don't remember why now. Okay. So there's a die you move. Everybody has 3 rocket ships. You can move. You roll and you move 1 rocket ship that many spaces. And then after everybody has taken a turn, now mind you, I'm just going to put the blue ones out. Hopefully they can be seen on camera. Mind you, you have all 3 of yours here. After one person has taken a turn, does it go down? Oh no, it goes the other way. You're right. This goes like this.
Let me teach the game here.
Shush.
Okay.
You take from the bottom, you move to the top. The rocket ship you just moved is a little further away now, and these guys are getting closer to falling off. After the next move, this moves again. And it just keeps doing that. There are 5 numbers on here, and then there is 1 that lets you move somebody else.
Yeah.
So you don't
forward
move yourself.
Or backwards.
But this just continues. Eventually, somebody goes off, and that is
They
lost.
fall into the black hole, and they're never to be seen again.
Yes.
And the meteor, you have to stop.
You have to stop. So no matter what you roll, you have to stop there.
Yeah.
Because you have to slow
It's a
down
field of
going
meteors.
through the meteor field.
Asteroid field. That's what it is.
Thank you.
It's
Yes,
supposed to be.
asteroid field. I mean, it's a cute kids game. It is. I don't think we decided to keep this one, though.
No.
We're trying to get that collection down to about 20, 25 games. At the rate we're going, it's probably going to end
The
up being
kids
closer
part
to
of the
30.
game, not the entire collection.
Oh, yes. No, I'm sorry. The kids part of the collection. I think in the long run, we're going to end up with it being closer to 30. But this one just didn't quite make the cut of all of the other games we've seen so far, and some of the ones we know are still coming. So this one is going to leave the collection, but that is Race Through Space, a Mission to the Moon. Cute little kids game, but didn't quite make the cut. All right.
We're getting a little bigger now.
Yeah.
We have Railways of the Road, Railroad Rivals. I have no idea what I was talking about there, but it's the first of the 3 Glen Drover games we have on this list right now.
Okay. Oh, yeah, we do have another. Okay, never mind. Got it. So the way this one plays, I'll tell you, when we pulled this one out, I knew we'd played it before. I remembered nothing of this game.
Oh, I did.
Absolutely nothing. So everybody has their player character. This honestly does nothing except for determine play order.
Determine play order.
That's all it is. Everybody has their little railroads. So everybody has their little railroad pieces. And then there's some other pieces in here for modules, but I'm not going to go into those. There is a number of stock certificates sitting on the table. Everybody starts with 1. And there are a number of, I'll just leave the stock certificates there, and I'm going to pull railroads from up here. And then there are a number of city tiles. And the city tiles, these are all different cities around the country. Like this is Pocatello and San Francisco and Portland, although it doesn't tell you which one. Buffalo and Chattanooga and Washington and Salt Lake. So everybody starts with a number of city tiles in front of them. All hidden, nobody sees them. There is at least one out. You start with one of the big ones out, and it tells you which one to put out. Each of these tiles have 4 railroads on each side, well, most of them. Some of them have blanks.
Some have a blank.
But they have railroads on each of the 4 sides. And you are trying to match up one of the tiles in your hand with one of the railroads on here. And then if I am able to match up, like Chattanooga has SR, whichever SR is, I'm not sure what the actual name of it is, and Washington both have SR on them. I can match those 2 up. I've made one connection. I lay down goods on the new tile. Like I said, say Chattanooga was already out. Washington has a 2 in the corner. So I would pull 2 goods from the bag and put them on here. And those 2 goods will need to be delivered to get points later on. But then I take one of my railroads and I put it on the connection. And I can now make that delivery without having to pay anybody because I've made that connection. Now, if Greg wants to deliver those 2 pieces from Washington to Chattanooga, he has to pay me to do it because he has to use my connection. I'll tell you, in a 2-player game, we never had to use each other's connections, ever.
No.
But the whole city builds out this way. Trying to connect up railroads. If you can manage to connect 2, then you get to lay down 2 of your trains on both of them. And that just gives you more connections. After you've made your connections, then you can try to deliver. And delivering is really, there's nothing to it. You pick up a piece from one side of your connection, you move it to the other side of your connection. That's all there is to it. And then you get points based on what colors have been already traveled that turn. So, like, you get more points if you're the only person to have delivered a gray or to deliver a brown. If all I can deliver is brown and Greg's already done so, then I'm getting fewer points. I can get points, but it's fewer points.
Yep.
As you're doing this, as you're buying stocks and as you're doing things, the stock, there's little bitty symbols of each of these stocks, keep going up. And at the end of the game, you are collecting these stocks on the start of every turn. You're drafting 1 stock and 1 city tile. And then at the end of the game, you are multiplying the number of stocks you have of a specific stock based on where it is here. And that's your points.
Plus what's up here.
Plus the points you've gotten for making your deliveries and everything. So it was more interesting than I remembered it being. It's a very simple train game. I'm not even sure I'd call it a train game, honestly, but it was very simple. But there was still a lot of thinkiness to it.
Yeah, the
trying
only
to make
thing
the
that's
connections.
train about this really is
The trains.
the name
Well, yes,
and
that
the train.
too.
Yeah, I mean, it's not what most people think of as
No,
a train game.
it's more of a stock market game, honestly.
It is a stock market game.
You are basically collecting various stocks and trying to get those stocks up in value so that you score more points at the end of the game. That's all it is to it, but that is Railroad Rivals. But that is Railroad Rivals, and it is going to stick around.
Okay, the next Glen Drover game. This is Raccoon Tycoon. This is another one you didn't remember playing.
I did not remember.
I remembered it.
I remembered playing it. I did not remember anything about it.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
difference. But no, I remembered nothing about this one either. And we've had both of these for a really long time. I'm talking like 15, 16. We've had them both for a while.
We got both of these when Raccoon Tycoon came out.
Yeah. Yeah, we bought them at Gen Con.
Because we got them for both in like a combo of $50 or something like that. I don't remember.
Okay, so here is your board. The top part is, shockers, a stock market. The bottom part houses all the cards and things that you are purchasing and acquiring throughout the game. You have 2 railroads available to you and then a deck. And the railroads are all of these cute little animal railroads. You use a number of them based on the player count, and actually, I don't think Jackrabbit's a normal one. Jackrabbit was a promo.
Promo, yeah.
But there's a number of different types of railroads, like you have the Skunk Works, and Jackrabbit, again, was a promo. And then there is Tycoon Railroad, which is the raccoons.
Top
and
Dog.
then there's the Sly Fox.
And Top Dog.
And yep, there's the Top Dogs.
And Big Bear.
Big Bears. And there is Fat Cats. I think that's all of them.
Cat one, wasn't there?
Yep. So.
2018.
Okay, so that must have been when we got it. Okay, so this sits stack of, and again, it changes by player count, but the stack sits here. You have 2 out.
Mm-hmm.
These will eventually go up for auction. At the end of the game, you are getting points based on how many of one type of railroad you own. So you may not want to bid on some of them. Others you're going to pay through the nose for because you want those for the end of the game for points.
Yeah.
There is also town cards over here that are...
You just had them.
I just had them? I
Yeah,
did.
they're underneath.
Oh,
the
they're
roads.
underneath. Okay. There are town cards over here. There's a town deck and there's 1 town out. Of course, I would pull a promo. But there's 1 town sitting out and 1 person, what, Vassal Grove?
Vassal Grove.
Yeah, it's one of the promo tiles. Okay, so there's 1 town out and then you have a number of buildings out here. You start with 1 building each. That building will typically give you some sort of a bonus when you produce certain items. So on your turn, you get to perform 1 action. You could produce. And if that case...
They're all right there, by the way.
Okay, thank you. On your turn, you could produce. You can produce up to 3 items per turn unless you have a building that allows you to do more. And those are out there. So this card, I would just produce 2 coal and a lumber. This card, I could take my choice between the 3 coal, the steel, or the luxury goods. But as soon as I produce the bottom stuff, the top stuff, their prices go up. So in this case, wheat, and I don't know why if you're producing, well, because you're producing, which would make the price go down. I don't know, supply and demand. But if I use this card, I produce this stuff here on the bottom, the stuff on the top, the prices go up. So wheat and luxury goods would go up. Well, the luxury goods are good. Maybe I'm going to take that luxury good. This one,
as you
wheat is
sell
good.
when they go down.
Right. That's one option. Second option is you could sell a commodity. So you're building up all of these goods up here. When you decide to sell them, you can sell as many as you have. You can only have like 10 or 12 at a time. It's 10 plus the number of buildings you own. Maybe I have 5 luxury goods and I'm going to sell, and the luxury goods are up here at 8. I'm going to sell all of that and get $40. But then I would drop this by 5 points. Or maybe it's at 10. I only have 2 luxury goods. I'm going to get $20 and I'm going to drop it by $2. So that's one option, is to sell. One option is to start a bid on a railroad. And the person who's there has to start it. You have to start it at the minimum of $7, whatever the minimum is. It ranges from 4 to 7 or
But
4
you
to
can
8.
start higher.
You can start higher if you know you want it. In a 2-player game, this was kind of a funky...
Yeah.
We didn't like that.
This made it tell me it should have been a 3-player game.
Yes.
Because of the 2-player
I didn't like
variant,
that
how
2-player
things went.
variant.
Yeah.
Yes, because everybody only got to bid once.
Yeah.
In a normal game, you just keep going till everybody's dropped out of the bid.
Yep.
But then if you, and this is what I did like though, if you start it and you don't win it, you take another turn. You still get to do something on your turn. You could start another bid.
You're going to end up with a card.
You are going to end up with something. Because maybe you've done 2 of these and you haven't won either of them. Okay, never mind. I'm going to sell some commodities instead. Never mind. I'm going to buy a town instead. Or I'm going to go buy a building. Whatever. you still get to have your turn, and I did like that.
Yeah.
You could also purchase a town. Well, you build a town. You build a town, and each of the towns tell you on the bottom what it takes. Like this one requires 2 goods or 4 of any type of commodity. So you could, if you have 2 goods, you can build this town. You can build Homestead Swamp. That's funny.
It's another
promo, yeah.
promo.
You could build Hometown Swamp, or maybe you only have 1 good, but you have 3 of something else, then you can still build this. But that is one of your action options. Or you could purchase a building, and this is where the money comes in that you're getting up here. You could purchase a building down here, and these are going to give you endgame scoring. They're going to give you extra benefits throughout the game. They're going to give you extra
resources.
production, different things like that. I really liked it. I did not remember how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So this is one that's going to stick around too.
Yeah, it's a great game. I just don't like that 2-player variant.
That 2-player variant. I agree.
Because once the first player will bid, the second player say, bid $1 more.
Yeah.
And they automatically get it because the other person cannot bid
So
anymore.
in a 2-player game, if you want it,
you better
bid high. Because otherwise you're not going to get it. So anyway, Railroad Tycoon, it is going to stick around, though I will say we're probably not going to play it at 2-player again.
No.
It'll be a higher player count. So, but yeah. All right.
Next we have not a Glendrover, but a Shem Phillips game. Jeez, this has both expansions in it.
A little heavy?
Yeah, it's got both expansions in
Yeah,
it.
I
This
know.
is Raiders of the North Sea with
Fields of Fame,
Fields of Fame and Halls of Heroes.
All right, I'm not going to go into the expansions much, mostly because they're still very hard to find. We lucked into both of these on various, well, one of them on a trip and the other on our anniversary, which we talked about during our last podcast. You can watch that.
Listen to that.
Listen to that. Well, they can watch it on YouTube. It'll be out soon. Well, by the time this comes out, it'll already be out. Anyway. All right, so here is your base board. With this one, this is a worker placement resource management game. What makes this different as a worker placement is this is leave one, take one. You only ever have 1 worker. Period. In fact, your worker may eventually be taken out of the game because he's gone to raid and is gone. But you're going to end up with a different worker, so that's okay. All right, so the game starts out with 3 workers, 3 of the black Meeple workers here, and everybody else starts the game with a black Meeple worker. And then there are various white, gray, and I don't think there's no more blacks.
It's only
all
black,
white,
white,
and
gray.
Okay, so there's various white and gray Meeples up here in all of the cities and villages, all the villages, I should say.
The harbors.
Yes, and the harbors. So you're spending the game placing down a Meeple, doing the action where you place down your worker. Maybe I'm going to go down here to the mill. The mill, if I place down one of my black workers, will get me one good. But if I place a different color worker, he gets me 2 goods. Maybe I'm going to go over here to the silversmith where I can get 3 coins if it's black, or I can get 2 if it's gray or white. So I'm going to place my worker down, do that action. Then I'm going to pick up another worker that's down here in the village and do that action as well. So maybe I've gone down here and done this, and now I'm going to go up to the barracks and I'm going to hire a card out of my hand into my crew.
Your raiding
crew, yeah. So you're doing both actions. That's down here in the village. Eventually, you're going to want to expand out and start raiding. You put down your worker in whatever spot, whatever color it signifies. Some of these will accept black or gray. Further up, these only accept the white workers. Well, the white workers you can't even get until you have a gray worker to raid with. So you're going to raid with one color. You're going to pick up a different color off of that village. Basically, you are recruiting. I'll be nice about it. You're recruiting somebody from the village to your ranks. Not really, but we're going to go with that. And then eventually you're going to use that gray worker, and you're going to probably have to go back down here and get more supplies. And hopefully you're going to end up back with that gray worker again, because now you can come up and you can raid further. And it just keeps going like this. So you're either doing actions down here, or you're raiding up here and taking the Meeple that's in the village. and that's your worker for the next round. You are moving up one of 3 tracks. You've got your armor track. You've got your essentially
fallen hero track.
Fallen hero track, yeah. As you lose people,
when you lose against
to the Valkyries, then you go up this track, and it's points at the end of the game. You can get up to 15 points there.
And then this is the prestige track.
Yeah. I really like this one. We've played it a couple times now in the last couple weeks because we've played it with all the expansions and stuff. I really like it.
Have we played this with 4 players?
Yeah, we played it with Doug and Mary.
Okay, yeah.
I really like this one. We have the full set. We're going to definitely keep this one. Yeah,
we have the trilogy, the Rune Saga for this too that I wouldn't mind getting out and trying out. That does all 3 of them.
This way. We're going to hope I'm right. Yeah, I do want to try that one. We've got one more to play on this set. Shipwrights.
Yep.
Okay, but that is Raiders of the North Sea. It is going to stick around. Great game with and without the expansions. But the expansions, I think, definitely add a new twist to them. They give you new ways to get resources and new people to fight and new ways to recruit people into your
because the Hall of Heroes brings out a pub.
Yep.
And the Field of Fame brings out
the Jarls.
Jarls, yeah.
That you can recruit or kill.
Yeah.
Or run away from. Not good.
Run away. No.
Anyway, this one is sticking around. All right, next.
Last but not least, the last Glenn Drover game and Martin Wallace combination of Railways of the World.
We just talked about this one quite extensively on our podcast, and I just finished editing it. That's why I know that, how extensive that discussion was. This was not at all what I expected.
No, it wasn't.
I expected and it's got like a 3-point-something weight. I don't see that.
I was expecting a very heavy.
I was too.
Building your routes and picking stuff up to transfer other places and upgrading. It has all that, but you don't have to pick up anything.
It's very streamlined, I feel like. Maybe. I don't know. This plays very similar to a crayon rail, only without the crayons. It's got that footprint.
Yes.
The
Instead
board.
of the crayons, you've got.
Yes.
Excuse me, tiles.
The main board is enormous, so I'm not going to pull out the main board. Instead, I will pull out one of the alternate boards because the main board is enormous. I'll show a picture here. Although, we have a picture of the full board. So this is Mexico. So this gives you the same basic idea, though. So this one does not build out with crayons. It builds out with small hexagon tiles, and there is an entire bag of them in here. You got it? There you go. There's an entire bag of these hexagon tiles. We literally just took a dice tray, dumped all the tiles in it. We could just pass the dice tray around. You can fish out the tiles you want because it's not random.
Yeah.
You can take whatever you want. But it worked really well to be able to just pass that dice tray around rather than having to fish on the table.
Yep.
Anyway, so you're pulling out the tiles you want. You can lay up to 4 tiles in a turn. Well, this is where it gets weird. There's turns and there's rounds. A round is 1 action. 3 rounds is a turn. It was very confusing. But, okay. In 1 round, you can lay out 4 pieces of railroad. You can upgrade a city to give it a color. Once it has a color, it gets production cubes. You can upgrade your trains so that you can go further on your train in 1 turn, in 1 round. In 1 round. You can, oh my gosh, there's a number of things you can do. You can deliver. Delivering is the big part of it. That's where you're going to get your points. So, or how many you're making your links. Links is also how you're getting your points. It's how many links you have.
Yeah.
And that ultimately gets you your money. A link is from city to city. The key is when you finish all 3 rounds, i.e. your turn, mind you, everybody's taking 1 round at a time until everybody's taken 3 rounds, and then that ends the turn.
She's not better at that.
It's confusing. Anyway. At the end of your turn, at the end of your 3 rounds, i.e. your turn, then if you have not completed a link from city to city, all of that railroad comes back up. All those tracks come back up. So you have to make sure that you complete your links. All the cities are fairly close together. It's not hard to do. The biggest difference with this is the money. You don't start the game with any money. Every other railroad game, you start with money. This one, you do not.
You have bonds.
You have to take out bonds for your first railroad. And then once you get moving, you can hopefully avoid having to continue taking out bonds. But for your first several turns, you're taking out bonds.
Yep.
The hard part is that when you get to the end of your 3 rounds, i.e. your turn, anyway, you do an income round. You get income based on how many ever links you've developed by that point, how many city-to-city links you've developed, and then you have to pay back $1,000 per bond that you've taken. It adds up very fast. But it was still good. I really enjoyed this game. I did not. There's also cards in here. You level up your trains. Oh, that's what I started talking about. Your trains, you can only deliver as far as your trains will let you go. Now, you aren't physically moving trains.
No.
You're not.
You're only moving the cubes that are on the cities to the other areas.
Right, and then taking them off the board because they're delivered.
Your trains are marking what rails are yours.
Right, because if you have to use somebody else's rail, you have to pay them. But the trains, you start at a level 1, which means you can go from one city to a second city. You can upgrade it to a level 2, which means you can skip a city now, but it costs you $5,000. You can go all the way up to level 8, which costs $20,000 to upgrade from 7 to 8. But that allows you to hop through 8 cities to deliver a good.
Yeah.
You're delivering the good. So I pick up a red good, I have to deliver it to a red city. The red city may be 4 links away. So I have to build up to be able to do that.
But it's worth a lot of points.
But it's worth points, yeah. So, and then there's cards that give you one-time actions. They give you permanent bonuses throughout the game. There's these beautiful 3D pieces that mark the empty cities. And this is actually the game end trigger. Depending on the number of players, you have so many of these sitting out. And when a city is empty of goods, you put this out. And then when there's 8 of them on the board, or with a 2-player game, it was 8, then the game is over. So this was a 90-minute game. It was not nearly as long as I expected it to be. I would love to try this with a full 8-player count, or 6-player count. Just play 6.
8 players?
They play 6. I feel like it would be a very long game, though, but I think it would be fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'd be a blast.
Yeah. Anyway, that is Railways of the World. Very thinky, very... not nearly what I expected.
No.
Fun train game. But yeah, that was a good one. And we have 2 expansions. Well, we have Portugal. I think Mexico maybe came with it. I don't know. We have 3 maps. Mexico, Portugal, and the U.S. The eastern U.S.
Yeah.
So that is it for this episode. We're done with the first episode of the R's. Only 6 more to go.
Only.
Anyway. Tell us what you think about some of these. Have you played this one? Do you think it's heavy? Did we miss something? I hope we didn't miss anything. But anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
But until then, we'll see you at the next one.